Hey friends, hi, Carol Sperling here, eXp Realty. Hey, we all like a good cup of coffee, right? So this is Greenwell Farms. You're looking up and down rows and rows of coffee that they have growing here. This is a neighbor of mine, and they also do tours locally here in Kealakekua. If you're ever in the area, it's a great tour. But looking at this coffee land, just wanted to show you where the coffee bean starts from. Right now in the spring, we're starting to get rain, and in the next few videos, I'm going to show you some of the cutting process, that how they prune the trees and how they rotational do that pruning process. Also, the other little worker bees, quote unquote, that are here that always do their job and that are very important to having a cherry coffee bean come onto your tree. We have something called Kona Snow, which is when these beautiful trees are all flowering. And they did that last week. I've got some pictures of that also. And then at that point, you start looking a little closer. And here are baby beans, coffee beans. Last week it was the flowers. This week it's the bean. So anyway, every flower produces more beans and of our coffee. And I'll show you more in the videos coming up, and I hope you enjoy. Aloha! Rotational cutting of the coffee. This year, it was this area that they cut down. Last year, it was that area up there. The trees are only half size. In the distance is what they'll cut down next year. But they do this every year to promote new growth of the coffee, and then they rotate it around. Here you can see where there's more of the coffee trees that have been cut down. The coffee farms are very meticulous. They keep their rows beautifully straight and long. And what do we have here but the worker bees? Gotta have the bees to get the flowers and pollinate so that we have more flowers, and then we have coffee beans. So we always have to have the bees and of course the dog to keep us on track. Again, looking up into the coffee land, these are just recently in the last couple of weeks cut trees, and really they start growing back very quickly as far as additional new growth coming back. So by this time next year, the trees are going to look like this. And these trees were cut down last year, so they are very tolerant and they come right back. And you see the white on the leaves and the branches of these coffee trees. That's what we consider Kona Snow. Every flower is a coffee bean. And these particular trees, these probably were cut about 3 years ago. They're pretty tall. They're full of flowers and branches and coffee to be. So these ones are a little bit more dense. They haven't pruned these out this year, and they're not going to, because all of those flowers are coffee beans. And as I mentioned, they keep the rows nice and straight. They keep everything mowed so that everything is hand picked. Once the coffee is ripe, everything is going to be hand picked, and every one of those flowers is going to be a bean. And as we saw a little while ago, the little worker bees are in there every day pollinating and doing their job, making sure that the flowers are pollinated and the beans are coming. Kona Snow. It's beautiful, and it smells very fragrant also. It has a wonderful smell to it. And then just knowing that that's going to be your next cup of coffee. Rows and rows and rows of coffee. And during picking season, it's all done by hand. These trees were cut about 2 years ago, so they're about half the size of these. And these new ones coming up that are cut a couple years ago, they'll have coffee on them and they have flowers on them. But you see the difference in the size of the trees and how neat and tidy the rows are. And then they have rows in between so trucks can drive through and pick up the bags of coffee. And yeah, there's the Kona Snow right here. Every flower is a bean. The bees do their job. It's a beautiful thing to see. And here in Kona, we call it Kona Snow, and we're so fortunate to have this in our backyard. I hope you all can enjoy and go to Greenwell Farms when you're in Kona. Take a tour of the coffee farm. You'll really enjoy it. Aloha.